What's up guys, Jay and Nina, we are back, and in this video we're done playing games. We're not messing around. You guys saw what the van looked like, you know what you're working with. In this video we're going to show you what exactly we got. We're going to break down our schedule as to when we built everything and how long it took and how we managed to do it in 2 weeks, as well as how much it costs. So how much every little detail costs, what it took, where we got it from, and how we put it in.
So starting off is how we got the van. I had a Toyota Corolla and we sold it for $10,000, so that became our budget to build the van. Vans that we saw were going really fast, so we were looking on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. Same day that we sold my Corolla, we saw this van, Bruce. Because they were in such high demand, we had cash in hand, ready to buy it. We liked what we saw and bargained it down a little bit and got it for $4,800. When we first bought him was a 7-seater passenger van. He had a third row in the very back where the seats folded down into a bed. So originally we were like, maybe we could turn that into a bed. We ended up doing a full conversion though, but we weren't convinced that we were gonna do something this dramatic when we were first looking at the van. It also had this giant TV, old school TV. So day one of building out the van, we started tearing out all the old. Alright, so we've been out here for a few hours, stripping the van, pulling everything out. Never realized how many screws go into making one of these vans, so I've just been unscrewing for a few hours.
Yeah, day one, we wanted to keep most of the van if we could have, but as we were kind of taking out some of the aspects that weren't super space efficient, we ended up just scrapping the whole thing and starting from square one. Yeah, we just had to pick up a special socket attachment to get off the seatbelt bolts. Kind of weird looking, but last seatbelt, and then we can rip out the sidewalls and the carpet. Day two was a little bit of day one extension. It was kind of stripping part two.
Mom didn't like us leaving all the junk out here, so last night we had to cram it all into the van. So we gotta figure out what we want to save, get rid of what we don't.
That's our van in the trash. Well, the old van. For future, if we knew we were gonna do some mega project conversion, then we'd probably just buy a van that was already stripped, because that's where we've run into most of our issues so far, is things like the AC unit back there and all these bolts that were in the van have been the hardest to get out and the most time consuming.
End of day two. Progress was a little bit slower today. Some bolts I had to grind off, and up here I took out some of these hinges.
Alright, so today is day like 2.5 because we're just going to work for a little bit today. The plan was to try to remove this rear AC unit because we don't need it. But the more research we did, the plan A was to do it ourselves. We found out we didn't want to do it ourselves. So plan B was to get a professional to do it. And once we called like 15 different places, none of them wanted to do it. So plan C is that we're leaving it in and we're just gonna have AC vents in the back, how the van originally was, which we don't really need, but it's way cheaper and better that way, I guess. So day three felt like more progress. Day one and two, I was getting pretty anxious to start actually building, knowing that time was ticking before we needed to leave for Wyoming. So day three, we got started on the floor. Jay is making a cardboard footprint for the van so that we can trace it onto some plywood.
Dot, 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 not a lot. Day 3 on the van. Things are starting to pick up. We're gonna start doing some more intense stuff. Right now I'm up on the roof and I'm gonna cut a hole. Pretty terrifying to think that I'm cutting a hole right in the top of my roof. But you gotta do what you gotta do. Alright, moment of truth. The deed is done. Alright. Alright, should be loose. Hello.
Hello.
Got a hole in our van. Day 4, my buddy Christian came over and he was an absolute lifesaver. Old high school friend that went to 5 years of architecture college where he was just an absolute workshop warrior, so super good with wood. He got us started off on the right foot. He also helped me in high school, plastered up my cars and things like that, get a bunch of stripes on it. So the first thing we did was we blacked out our window that's gonna be covered by our kitchen wall. The rest of the day, he was working on the bed frame, so he's back here kind of framing everything out. But while he was doing that, I was working on everything electrical. We have the Renogy 2 100 watt panel kit, 2 100 amp hour deep cycle gel batteries hooked up to our 2000 watt Renogy inverter. I also installed a DC-DC controller. It is Renogy that is hooked up to our alternator that will charge our batteries while we drive. If you guys have any questions or you want to see a more in-depth video about it, leave us a comment down below and I'd be happy to explain that whole process. Now we are into our 5th day. So first thing we did was we mapped out our floor. So that looked like getting some laminate wood flooring that's tongue and groove. So it all hooks into each other. It's very cheap, very nice, looks great.
Yeah, we had the wood flooring, and after wood flooring, I got started on insulating the walls. And so doing research on insulation, we ultimately found that the Havelock wool was the best option, but they were completely back ordered, and now a few months later they still are. So for anyone else building a van, that's probably what we'd recommend. But we instead used a combination of foam board and fiberglass from Home Depot. So the fiberglass is what people use in homes, and so that's all underneath our ceiling and then on the roof, because that's mostly where heat will come in or escape, other than the windows.
And stuffed into our doors.
Yes, and that's stuffed into our doors. And then the foam board is on the walls, it's on the old window, it's underneath the flooring, filling in the gaps. So kind of between those two, we covered the whole van.
To close up all the insulation, we use some cheap kind of flexible MDF board.
It is day 5 of the van build. It's really coming together. We got floor in, we have one wall, Jay's working on the other wall. We have insulation on the roof, we have a hole for our fan. There's solar up there too. And I am painting some more wall panels. And then the last thing we did on day 5, so first we had the floors, we did the insulation, we started putting up the walls, and then I started staining the ceiling panels. For day 6, we had the fan, and we also did the ceiling panels.
We laid down some RV weather sealant tape over to kind of make the roof flat and flush. Some people call it butyl tape, whatever it is, it's got to be weather sealed. So we put that down, put the fan in, ran the wires out of the way so that we're not going to chuck those off, and we screwed on down.
And then the other thing that day was the ceiling panels. So the day before I had finished staining them all, but then Jay's friend Christian came over again at night to help us with the ceiling panels. They're all from Home Depot cedar planks, and they're tongue and groove, so they're supposed to just snap together really nicely. It was harder than we expected. Definitely a 2-person job for them, and I came in and helped sometimes. So as they were doing it, it looks great now and I love it, but it was definitely a task. Day 7 really felt like progress. I started working on the bed. So we designed it to be almost exactly the size of a full bed. And so it's just as wide as one. That was easy for us to do. And then it's a few inches short of being as long as a full bed. And so that's mostly because our walls had to come out and insulation had to fit back there. But with a memory foam mattress, we were just able to stuff it down there and didn't have to cut the mattress or anything like that, which was great. And then while I was doing that, Jay was working on the wiring for the van.
Yeah, so I had to clean everything up because I just had everything connected. So I didn't have the links all down and everything. So I was running it through the walls as well as installing some fuses.
What?
Yes, sir.
Wow, are you dimming them?
Yes, sir.
Wow, the two.
First
Wait.
try, baby.
That one's not working.
Which one?
The far one.
Oh gosh.
Originally for the kitchen, we thought about just buying in some cabinet or some sort of cupboard, some sort of countertop, and realizing with the toaster oven that we wanted, with the mini fridge, just the way we wanted things to be, everything has to be custom. Even if we don't want it to be, it's gotta. So I started framing out the kitchen.
It's just gotta.
It's just gotta.
Day 9 was the start of all the finishing touches. So these cabinets up here that look so beautiful were an absolute grind to make. So for the base of them is what I started with. Wasn't too difficult. I was scrounging around for any scrap wood that I could find because I really didn't feel like going to Home Depot and buying another $60 thing of plywood. So piecing all these pieces together to make a nice flush piece for the base was what I was working on.
After he was done working on the cubbies for the day, or just so frustrated that he was ready to stop, we did the countertop. So we got this from IKEA, and it's actually a desktop. It was a little bit cheaper and easier for us to cut and turn into a countertop. So we got that all glued in and installed, and then we got working on the sink. Okay, day 10 of working on the van. We're starting to get our kitchen in. We have our fridge, and we have like a KitchenAid toaster oven thing that hopefully we can make stuff in. Jay is working on the cubbies, which have been the death of the van. They've been so hard. There's one more, and the bed's all done. We got some doors made over here, so making progress.
Testing the fridge out. We're gonna see if we can make ice cubes.
We're leaving it plugged in overnight. We tested the oven earlier today. Wow, the light works and everything.
Give me a soda.
And so day 10 was my big painting day. I painted all the walls, all the panels on the doors, and then while I was painting those things, Jay was working on the kitchen. Once Jay would finish up a project on the kitchen, I'd get painting on the kitchen too.
Look what I made. Pull out hinge drawer. So proud of it. Took me way too long.
So day 11 was the next day. His friend Christian came over, and while I was inside doing research and starting to pack up, they installed all this wall paneling. Again, not easy to put together. It should be, but it wasn't. So Jay and Christian spent hours working on it, probably till 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning.
But we got it done, and that's all that matters. Day 12, Christian was able to come over again, praise the Lord, and we switched out the 2 front seats. So the captain chairs that we had in the front were really worn out. So luckily there were 2 seats right behind them in the original van that we saved, and so we just swapped those out. And so we got the nice leather from the back seats, put it in the front. Day 13, we are on the home stretch, so we're focusing on the details all out now. So finally got the faucet in, and that was a doozy. So the sink that we had was fit for a 1.5 inch size faucet, and Nina decided to buy us a 1 3/4 inch faucet. So that did not fit. So I was having to drill these holes in the metal and jig it out, and man, that was just a mess. So I finally squeezed it in there, and we got it flush so it's not leaking or anything like that. And then I also was able to work on the trim and kind of our door step-in areas.
And while he was working on those, I was helping put magnets into our doors. We didn't want any of our doors to fly open. So day 14 was our last day, but this was my favorite day, what I've been waiting for, to finally decorate the van. So I put up my postcards, put up our mirror, we put up those shelves, and it really started to feel like a home.
And I was just cleaning up the trim, so all around, kind of hiding any little corners that we have.
It is the last day working on the van. We've said that for like the past 5 days, but tomorrow we're actually moving out, and so we have no choice but for today to be the last day. So we're getting there. Jay's finishing up the trim. I've been cleaning and packing upstairs, and we're almost done. I'm excited to show everyone tomorrow. And then the very last thing I got to do was make the bed. So after all of our clothes had been put away, everything was organized into the van, I made the bed to really make it feel like home, and we were good to go. Breaking down the cost of the van, we spent $4,800 on the van itself, a 2003 Dodge with just under 100,000 miles, $1,800 on the entire solar setup, $600 on lumber, $30 on our wood flooring, $130 on both the ceiling and the wall panels, $50 on the insulation, $120 on miscellaneous screws, adhesive hardware, and more, $140 on the sink and the plumbing, $20 for the window coverings, $160 on the fan, $40 on the countertop, $150 on the mattress, and $60 on our lights and electrical, for a grand total of $8,100 on the entire van and the conversion. For more information about what's in our van, you can check out the kit that we made on our website with all of our supplies listed as well as where to find them. Okay, so we were able to do our van in 14 days for just over $8,000, but there are a few things that made this possible for us that we want to talk about really quick. And so the first one is there's 2 of us, and we had Christian's help, and Christian is worth like 3 people. Another thing is we were able to build out the van at Jay's family's house in California, and his dad just has what felt like unlimited tools for us to use. So,
shout out to Brad. Woo, Brad the dad.
So that saved us a lot of money of buying tools, but also saved us a lot of time trying to find the right one. Also, 1-day shipping with Amazon Prime. We could decide we needed something one day and have it by lunchtime the next day. All really sped up the building process.
And being unemployed, woo, we worked all day, every day, baby. Yeah, we'd wake up at 8 and we'd be working all day until the sun went down and then some. So 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. It was a grind for sure, but that's what enabled us to get it done as fast as we did. So that's it for our van build video. Let us know down in the comments if there's anything you guys want to hear more about, if you guys have any questions, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Oh my gosh, it helps us out more than you guys know. As we're new to YouTube, we're trying to get to 100 subscribers. Oh my gosh. And then we get a custom URL. That's big for us, okay? So help us get there. Appreciate all the support, and we'll see you guys next time.